Good morning, people. Today we're doing a batch of mash. Got about 23 gallons of water in here. The reason I went small, the total batch would be about 25 gallons. I heated up about 20 gallons of water in here. It's about 200 degrees. The reason I heated up to 200 degrees is when I put it into the buckets, by the time I transfer it from here to there, it's gonna drop a few degrees. So I like to heat it up to about 200 in the boiler, about 20 gallons. I had probably about 2 to 3 gallons of water in here, which I converted the sugar on. I like to invert my sugar. Use, about a tablespoon of citric acid per gallon of water. Let it simmer for about 20 minutes. It's already been dumped in. And then I've got probably about 3-4 more gallons in here. I only used maybe I had 12 pounds of sugar in there. So I'm capitalizing the mash a little bit, but only probably about a half point, you know what I mean? I'm not getting, because usually inside of here is 50 pounds of corn. Obviously that bag just dumped the entire 50-pound bag into the mash bucket after I got the water in. So there's 2 pounds per gallon of corn. I'll put another pound per gallon of malted barley and wheat. So I'll have about 3 pounds of grains per gallon. That's usually enough to get me about 7% on my mash. 7% potential alcohol by volume. So I like to have it about 8 or 9. That's a good place to be. It's a fine line between having a pure mash. I would have to get at least 4 pounds per gallon of grains in there to get up towards 8 or 9. So I'll capitalize it with about a half pound per gallon of sugar. And that'll get me to about 9%, which is where I want to be. So I probably got about 10 more minutes of this simmering until the sugar is inverted. I'm sure you can find plenty of videos on inverted sugar and how yeast has a much easier time of eating through inverted sugar than it does just raw sugar, you know what I mean? So with that being said, we got about another hour of this simmering. As you can see, I had to go buy a corded drill. I got a hammer drill to mix my mash. When I was doing, it was fine to use a cordless drill when I was using small buckets, my 8-gallon bucket mash pot. But when you're trying to mix 25 gallons of liquid with 50 pounds of corn, you needed a little more oomph. I was wearing out, the batteries were draining with almost just about every time I was stirring this mash. So I went and got a hammer drill from Walmart. I think it was about, I want to say 30 bucks, maybe it was $29.99, something like that. And it did the trick. So if you're making mashes this big, obviously you're gonna need some kind of corded drill to power through this mash. When you stir it, it takes a lot of effort. In fact, I'll try and one-handed, but you can see there is a ton of corn in here. So we'll keep mixing this thing over and over and over, trying to get that starch out of all that corn, and we'll get a lot of it. You can see the water is already getting yellow. It'll start getting thicker. In another hour, we're gonna have a lot of starch in here. Obviously, I got some buckets of ice in my car to drop this temperature, using my handy dandy thermometer, which is around here somewhere, right here. You know what I mean? I'll use my thermometer to test. We're probably at 185 now, which is where I want to be to gelatinize the corn. I'll use my thermometer and a little bit of ice to drop it down to 155. Obviously, I need to get to 155 for my malted grains for the amylase conversion to happen in the grains. I don't use, like exogenic enzymes. I have bags of them. I have alpha amylase, powdered alpha amylase I could throw in here to make the conversion. I just allow the malted grains to do the work. And when I'm probably gonna put 25 pounds of malted grains in here. So I'll have a total of 75 pounds of grains total, 50 pounds of corn, probably 15 pounds of malted barley, and 10 pounds of malted wheat in here. I'll get my conversion. I won't have to worry about using any kind of enzymes. But one exogenous enzyme I do use is glucoamylase or beta amylase. Mine, I call it glucoamylase, more low temperature amylase to break down the long chain starches into short, break them down into smaller chain starches, which makes it much easier for the yeast to chew through it. You know what I mean? So, and make the conversion. We want to convert all of these starches to sugars, and then obviously the yeast eats the sugar and produces alcohol. So, I just thought I'd make a quick video. You can see, I've made the jump up. When you have a 26-gallon still, it's awful hard to make your mashes in a small pot. So it's just too much work. Making them in a big batches like this obviously saves me a lot of time. And time is everything. You don't want to be wasting it. You know what I mean? When you got a job and you've got things to do, you've got loved ones, family, you got hobbies, you can't be wasting tons of time making these mashes. So doing them in a big bucket like this is the way to go. I got to admit, one mash in this bucket will fill up that 26-gallon still in one shot. So hopefully by the end of the day, I'll be pitching yeast. And within 5 or 6 days, hopefully maybe 7, the temperature's getting cold up here in New England. So I'm not sure. It doesn't matter to me how fast it ferments. But, hopefully about a week, this thing will be fermented out or damn close to it. And we can run it off. So with that being said, I hope everyone's enjoying their life, enjoying their day, and enjoying moonshine. Take care, people.